Topologic Bomber Dragon may as well be one of, if not the most absurd Link monsters ever printed. And that's saying a lot because Link monsters are pretty dumb. We've seen Link monsters like Firewall Dragon, a card that infinitely allows you to spam bodies to the field. We've seen cards like Nightmare Goblin that just gives you free normal summons and free draws. But arguably the most powerful Link monster, in my opinion, may be Topologic Bomber Dragon. And if you're wondering why, let's go over its effect. It is a Link 4 Cyber's Link Effect monster that requires 2+ effect monsters, it has 3000 attack, and it has the following effect. If another monster is special summoned to a zone a Link monster points to while this monster is on the field, discard 1 or 2 random cards, then your opponent discards the same number. During your main phase, if this card is extra linked and your opponent has at least 1 card in their hand, you can make your opponent discard 1 or 2 cards, whichever is higher. Then, if they have no more cards in their hand, inflict 3000 damage to them. You can only use 1 Topologic Gumblar effect per turn, and only once that turn. If you couldn't tell, this card destroys the hand. Similarly to the other line of Topologics, we see cards like Topologic Bomber Dragon, a card aimed to destroy the main monster zone. We've seen Topologic Trisbana aimed to destroy the spell and trap zone, but in this case it'd be Banish. We've seen Topologic Zeraboros, a card that destroys the entire board by banishing it all. But if that wasn't enough, we even got a Topologic monster that aims to target the hand. And at first you may think to yourself, oh, they're gonna put a ton of restrictions on it. No way they'd allow such a broken Link monster to exist. It's not restrictive enough. It requires 2+ effect monsters, the same requirement as a card like Access Code Talker. Let's put this in context. A card like Confiscation is a card that looks at your opponent's hand, chooses one, and shuffles it into the deck. And that card is banned. A card like Topologic Bomber Dragon, while maybe not being able to rip a specific card, it discards 1 or 2 random cards. I mean, the ability to abuse this card is so easy to accomplish, especially because you can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn, but that doesn't mean you can't do it on your opponent's turn. Gumblar inherently is a very poorly designed Yu-Gi-Oh card because it's able to be so easily abused. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see, and also make sure to hit that notification bell to stay up to date for when future videos come out. My Discord is also in the description if you'd like to join an awesome community. Finally, if you'd like to see me live stream on Twitch, make sure to follow my Twitch in the description below. But with that, let's continue. Some examples are cards as easy as Linkuriboh. When you look at Topologic Bomber Dragon in terms of the decks it was used in, like let's say Goki. Goki could spam the board quite easily with cards like Isolde and all your Gokis floating along with Goki Rematch. So let's say for example you summon Isolde, you summon the level 1 Goki from your deck Octostretch. Octostretch is going to be turned into Linkuriboh, then you search Rematch. Rematch back 2 Gokis, including the Octostretch. You can link 3 of the 4 bodies, not including Octostretch, into a Gumblar. Then you can summon a monster to the link arrow Gumblar points to. Gumblar is going to trigger ripping 2 cards out of your hand and 2 out of your opponent's. Now let's say you summon a Linkuriboh back on your opponent's draw phase. This means you're ripping another 2 cards. I mean, who even cares about the cards you're ripping? They're all free because you're playing Goki, and you also have a Phoenix Blade engraved. Gumblar inherently has so many different ways of being abused because it's so freaking generic. I mean, this is unreal. We've seen this card used in decks like Danger Thunder Drag. The Danger Thunder Dragon strategy is revolved around using Snow at one point to banish your Thunders on both your turn and your opponent's turn and get a mass use of effects and gain a ton of resources. If you're gaining a ton of resources, then it's no problem if you're spending some of them to destroy your opponent's hand. I mean, this is just ridiculously strong. So clearly we can see that Gumblar is flawed for both being easily accessible, but also not restrictive enough. And this card was released in 2018. That was so long ago. Like, I just can't fathom how a card like this was ever printed. It gives me Vietnam flashbacks. I don't even think the TCG got it as bad as the OCG did, because the OCG had full power Dragon Link with Gumblar legal. Think about it like this, right? In the OCG, you do your Guard Dragon combo with the rockets. You summon Gumblar, you rip 4 cards out of your opponent's hand, you also rip another one with Levianeer, you have a Savage negate, and because why not, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend would be on field because the Guard Dragons give you so many free resources. You can even end Hieratic Seal on the board as well. And bear in mind that you did all of this while Max C was in the format. So clearly there is a reason Gumblar needed to get banned. And if the OCG shows us anything, I mean, the OCG is a place where so many cards you couldn't expect to be legal are legal. Fairy Tail Snow is legal just as an example, and that card was banned on the same ban list as Gumblar. That card is legal and Gumblar is banned. That is how powerful of a card Gumblar truly is. And I mean, there have been decks that existed only because Gumblar exists. For example, Dark Warrior Link was a deck revolved around at one point using Isolde to get access to Dark Law and Gumblar, being able to rip 4 cards out of your opponent's hand with Gumblar, and then rip an additional one with Dark Law, plus you're just banishing all their resources that they discard anyways. So yeah, Gumblar has created decks in of itself just because of how powerful it truly is. And I mean, any deck can abuse it just as long as you can discard the appropriate cost. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, there are so many cards that can give you free resources. Now, the matter of the fact is those resources typically need to do something relevant, but if you have Gumblar, those resources don't even need to be relevant in of themselves. They just need to be resources that exist to take away from your opponent. Gumblar is such an inherently flawed card, and thank goodness it is banned, and hopefully it will stay banned. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see, and with that, I hope to see you soon.